Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. This is my friends at Yarnspirations.com. Beginner level today, and we're going to be using a really thick crochet hook today, and that is a 25mm size US 50 crochet hook. We're going to be using Bernat Blanket Big Bold today. What I'm going to recommend for you, if you've not crocheted ever before, because this is really a beginner project, I'm going to put a crochet workshop in the video description as well as the pinned comments for both left and right. I recommend that you probably review that because then I can just quickly show you how to do this, but that video will cover how to hold your hook, your yarn, and all of that. The only difference is that this is going to be really thick. So this is using a Susan Bates hook, and we're going to be using Bernat Blanket Bold, and the color that you will see is called Yellow Bold, and it's a really fun yarn to be able to play with. The color that you see on this sample is called Vintage Car. Let's begin. Because the yarn is so thick and the hook is much bigger, I need to have more space between you and the camera, or I'll bop you in the nose with this. So what I want to do is create a slip knot. So if you watch that other video on how to do the workshop, you'll be able to do this pretty quickly, and just wrap it around your finger and play the leapfrog, as I mentioned before. You don't want to waste too much yarn because the yardage on this is not very much per ball. And so when you're done with this, you're going to untwist this and then weave in all the individual 3 pieces all on its own. Let's put our hook into the loop that you created, and you want to get it down to the shaft of the hook. So this here is measuring the thickness of the stitches. So if you stay within the throat or the head, it's not going to get the same thickness throughout. So what we need to do is that we need only to chain 27. This yarn is so thick is that you want to do that. So just take the yarn, and this is so thick, just wrap it around and just pull it on through. Okay, and then shove it down the shaft. So over and through. So I'm only going to do a small sample with you today, but I'll show you the important things as far as where to go and what to do with the loose ends, and when you're changing over the yarn balls to another color, or the ball runs out and you need to change it out. I'll show you that today. So please chain 27 of those for me and meet me back here in a moment. So now that you have your 27 on here, I have a shorter sample as I mentioned, you're going to go second chain from the hook. So this is 1 chain, and this is the second. Now, because we're not doing a border to this, I recommend that you put it right here. So just pull this back, and you're just going to insert your hook into that. You're going to yarn over and pull through. This is just a single crochet, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through the 2. So you can see how big this stitch is, it's massive. So then we jump to the next one. So you went in here, so the next one is right here. See how it's lining up? So you go here. So I want you just to go all the way down your chain, just doing single crochet. Make sure you get it to the shaft so that it gets the same thickness as all the rest of the stitches, and continue to do that all the way to the end of the chain. And I'll be right back in a moment. So I'm gonna go all the way into my last one right here, and that'll take me to the end of the chain. So you can see that just one pass of this made a huge distance for as far as height of your blanket. And once you get more into your hand, it's easier to hold onto the stuff. So this was the height just of 1 row on its own. Okay, so you can see this is where the tail end is, so you can't go any further. Turn your work and let's do row number 2, and row number 2 is going to be the repeat throughout the whole thing. So let's just start. We're going to do row number 2, and every time you start a row, you're automatically just going to chain 1, and this is going to be a builder, and make sure you do shove it to the shaft. So in crochet, there's 2 strands that make up a stitch. Now, if you just play with one, the first one that's closest to you, that's a front loop. And if you play with the other one, that's a back loop. And because we're going to play with the back loop only, this is going to automatically stretch this to be longer, which is what you're looking for with this thickness of yarn. So your yarn will go further. So in the first one that this is coming out of, okay, you're going to play in the first back loop here. The counts that you will always have is that you'll always have 26 stitches going across. So you're just going to single crochet in the back loop, and this is going to provide a lip texture which creates this line to stay in front. So you come to the next one, it's the back loop here, and just going in, yarning over, pulling it through, shove it to the shaft and pull through 2. And you're just going to go all the way down your row on the back loops only. And because the yarn is changing color, it's going to be really interesting how this thing works out, because we're using a different color than the sample. And I'm actually attracted to this mustard yellow color here. So let's just continue that. Put me on pause and I'll see you closer to the end of the line in just a moment. As you're coming on row number 2, this is your last stitch here. So it's not here, it's here. And you're just going to go into that last back post only, and then just pull through. And this will keep your edge nice and flat. So when you're ready, you're just going to turn your work and do another row. And I'll show you one more row, and then we'll talk about what happens when you run out of yarn or have to change out your yarn, and etc. To start a new row, it's what I already showed you. So your yarn over first, and then we come in and we want to play within the back loops only. Okay, so coming straight down on here. So you see how it comes down? It's right here. And back loop, single crochet. Okay, so in diagrams or patterns, it would be SC, BP, so single crochet back post. And so you're just going to single crochet on the back post. Now, I kind of like my yarn in my hands just like I do with regular crochet, but there's nothing wrong, because this is so thick, just to kind of leave it out and just manually wrap things as well. So you have to decide how it's going to work. Let me know in the comments on what you decided, whether you're holding it like a regular crocheter or you're doing your own thing. And there's really no wrong answer. You do what's right for you. I'll see you at the end of the row in a moment. At the end of row number 3, you're coming right to the end, and you should have 26 stitches left over. So turn your work. So what happens when you run out of yarn? I'm going to intentionally cut the yarn just to show you what to do. And so the thing about crochet is that we think about when we're beginners is that we can only start new yarn on the ends. In this case, because you're using the same yarn itself, as far as like the brand, you can start in the middle of a row and get away with it pretty easily. So if it's a different color completely and you want the line to be a completely different color, then you have to do it from the beginning. So I'm going to start chain up 1, and I'm going to do the back loop. So what I'll do is that I'll just do a couple stitches, and then I'll intentionally cut and show you what to do next. So let's pretend I'm running out of yarn. So I've cut it intentionally. So what I'm doing is that I can see that it's ending, and I want to just get it short enough that I can still play with it to weave in the ends, but not too long, because this yarn, yardage wise, is expensive, and because it's really ultra thick. So we want to pull through, and we don't want to finish that single crochet. We want to use the regular yarn coming from the ball again. So if this is a brand new ball, just grab the end. It just happens to be the same color, but it doesn't have to be. And what you're just going to do is just loop it long enough that it's about the distance of just over your hand, and you were going to finish that single crochet with the new yarn. Now, you're going to continue to single crochet across. And I bet you're thinking, well, what about the loose ends? Well, I'll show you what to do with that in a second, but just get yourself, keep on going, and you can do all your loose ends at the end, or you can do it as you go. So I'm gonna get to all the way to the end, and then I'll show you how to get rid of those tail ends. So at the end of your project, any tail ends that you'll have, including the starting tail and the ending, can be done in the same way. So let's just say I'm finished the project. I'm gonna cut long enough that I can still get it with a tapestry needle, and I'm just going to pull it through. So this yarn is unique in the way that you see the coloring, and what you're going to notice is that when you untwist these, you actually have 3 strands of yarn at one time. So I wanted to untwist that and get all 3 to be separate. Also, the yarn that you had when you started here, just pull it tight again if it's loosening off. I want you to untwist those as well. So maybe just do one at a time. So you're just going to grab a tapestry needle, and it has to be thick enough at the end that you can squish this yarn to get it inside. And I've done another project with this yarn, so I know it fits. So you're just going to squeeze it to the inside of the head, just like that. You're going to take this yarn and you are going to drag it through. So just drag it through some of the plies as well as some of the stitch work. And what you're trying to do is hide it inside. And you want to go back and forth a total of 3 times, but you never want to go into the same path. So when I go back in the opposite direction, I want to make sure that it's going in a different path. Okay, so I got once, and I'm going to put it back on. So if you just weave it one time like this and leave it, it'll fall out. So the 3 times is kind of a charm. So you go in a different path, back in the opposite direction, and be sure to try to put it between plies. Just don't go between strands. Okay. Now, if my strand was longer, it probably would not be falling out like this, but because of this yarn is so thick, I don't want to necessarily waste a lot of it. So I will put up with having to do this because it's worth it for me. And finally, with the same strand, back through. And give it a good pull. Now, everything's in. And what I would do is hide the other 2 in there as well, go back and forth in a different path than that one was, and continue to do that, and therefore you'll get that secured. So any of those loose ends you're going to want to do that with. So you'll do the same with the starting and the stopping tails, and therefore this yarn is going to be amazing. So once you are gone back and forth, you can cut it down. And it kind of buries itself on the interior. But it's a really cool idea, and this blanket will have a lot of stretch to it that you'll see, and it's really fun to play with. And that's it for today. We hope you have a great day.